My name is Keith Canan, and I'm a software engineering manager on the Power Automate team at Microsoft. And we're here today to talk about how Power Automate is the perfect automation platform to streamline workflow processes across your entire IT ecosystem. And as you know, As you know, Microsoft Flow is now known as Microsoft Power Automate. It's the same Microsoft Flow, but we've added a bunch of new capabilities. And the new name signifies we're a part of the Power Platform, which includes, Power BI and Power Apps. Here's, the Power Platform overview. As you can see, the Power Platform includes Power BI, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate. It's basically a low-code, no-code platform that lets you let seasoned developers, IT managers, people who are not familiar with coding be able to make apps and IT infrastructure in no time. It's basically enables a digital transformation which allows you to use data to facilitate intelligent business processes and decision making. So with that, I want to just talk about some of the capabilities of Power Automate, and then I'm going to show a bunch of demos. So Power Automate today offers several options. For example, you have connectors and actions. It has over 270 app connectors and APIs, which lets you connect your Power Automate workflows to your favorite apps and services. It also connects to AI Builder. You can build, train, and publish AI models with AI Builder's pre-built templates. And there's also business process and approvals, and you can automate human-in-the-loop processes. And then this week at Ignite, we've introduced UI flows in preview mode, which now lets you automate legacy applications and web applications that do not have APIs. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you UI flows. Okay, so now when you go into Power Automate, you can click on My Flows tab, and if you look over here to the right, you'll see a UI Flows preview. So you can click on that, and if you have existing UI flows, you'll see them here. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and create a new UI flow. So I'm going to say New, and I want to make a desktop app. So I'm going to click on Desktop App, and notice I have a web app choice also. I'm going to go ahead and say Next. Let's go ahead and in the scenario for this is, let's say I have a legacy application called Contoso Invoicing. This is an application that does not have any APIs built into it, and so users have to sit there, and anytime you create a new account, you basically have to add an account. So let's see how we can use Power Automate to automate that. I'm going to go ahead and call this Create New Account, and I'll put Ignite on it, and I'm going to say Next. Looking at the application, I can see that, hey, to create a new application, I need an account name, a contact, and an email. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new input. So I'm going to call it account name, and I'll just put, let's just go ahead and put sample company. So I'm entering some test data so I can test it out. Enter account name. Okay, now I'm going to create another input. And let's see, I need contact. Let's just call it primary contact. And I'm just going to put Jane Smith, and I'm going to say enter primary contact. Looks like I misspelled account there. Let's fix that. All right, now I'm going to create another input for the email. Let's just go ahead and call it contact email. I'm going to put Jane at samplecompany.com. Okay, enter email. Okay, that's the description, which will help users in the future. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and say Next. You can see here's my UI flow. And I can click on the recording here, and it tells you what's going to happen when you start recording. Let's go ahead and launch the recorder. In this case, the recorder launches, and it comes up at the top of the screen here. And let's go ahead and bring up my legacy application. I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Okay, I'm going to record, and notice as I hover over the Contoso Invoicing app, there's a red outline around the app, and also a light blue highlight as I hover over things. The red highlight indicates that this app is ready for recording. I'm going to go ahead and click on the title bar to activate the application, and I'm going to go ahead and say File, and I'm going to say New, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the account name. And I want to use an input here. So I have a sample input I created earlier. I'm going to go ahead and click on Use Input, Account Name, and go back to the account name field. Okay, there it is. It enters the sample data I put in. Now I want to put in the primary contact. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. Click on primary contact. Click there. There it goes. Okay, now I'm going to enter the email. Contact email. All right, there we go. And I want to save this, so I'm going to click on Save. And I'm going to go ahead and close the application. Okay, with that, I'm done recording. And here you can see inside of Power Automate, the steps are recorded. I can click on here, the Contoso invoicing script, and I can see all the steps. And I can see, okay, I'm launching Contoso invoicing. And it's going to capture what I did. I left-clicked on the title bar. I left-clicked on the file menu. I left-clicked on the new button. Then I went ahead and clicked on the account field. And here it's going to tell you I inserted account name. So you can review your whole steps here. The other thing I want to show you is there's advanced options. Here you can see I clicked on the title bar and it tells me I'm waiting 5 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and change that to a 0 because I want it to be faster. As we record, it actually records the steps in real time and the time you take to do it. As you can see here, this step took 1 second. But let's go ahead and just save it. And this is going to save your UI flow to the cloud as a part of Power Automate. Once it's saved, okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit Next. Now, I don't have any output fields on this UI flow, but I'm going to hit Next. And now I can actually test it. Okay, it's saved in the cloud. I recorded it. Let's go ahead and put another account. Let's just go ahead and put, let's use new data. I'm going to put company ABC. I'm going to put the primary contact, I'm going to put John Doe. I'm just going to put John at companyabc.com. This is different data than I used before. Now I'm going to click Test. When I click Test, we have a Chromium extension that runs in the browser, and you can see it running up here. This is the Microsoft Flow Power Automate preview, and you can see here we also have an agent running on the system. As it goes through, when you click on Test, it'll go through the browser extension, and it's actually going to run the steps, and you can actually see, will it work? So it's going to automate the steps. My hands aren't on the keyboard or the mouse. There you go. It's entering the data. So this is to basically verify that what you recorded works. There's a little bit of delays because I was talking and doing it. But yeah, like I said, you can go back and change the time where it'll be faster, and I'll show you that in a second. Once the contact email comes in, let's go, there you go. Then it'll click on Save and Close. Okay, and with that, hey, your UI flow ran successfully. Thank you. So now that we've got a UI flow, let's just go ahead and close it. I've already saved it. What's a real-world example? I want to go ahead and run this UI flow and make it real. So, for example, I have over here a Sharepoint list, which basically has some similar fields, and I want to go ahead and create a flow that's going to run this UI flow. So let's go ahead and create an automated flow inside of Power Automate. In this case, I'm going to say create new account from Sharepoint. Okay. And notice when you create a flow inside of Power Automate, there's a lot of triggers here. There's a lot of data sources. In this case, I'm actually just going to use when an item is created in Sharepoint. So these triggers basically will cause your flow to be to start. So in this case, I'm going to use this this Sharepoint list. So when this Sharepoint list is updated, let's go ahead and go to Account List Ignite. I want to go ahead and run my UI flow. So in this case, I already recorded the UI flow, but let's go ahead and run a UI flow for desktop. And in this case, I already have a UI flow. Let's go ahead and find it. It was I'm going to use the create account here because this one is the one I just recorded, but I've actually already created one where I've set all the steps to 0 so it'll run faster. And it's the same thing. But if I click here, I can see my connections. So when you run for real, it actually runs through the on-premise gateway, the same on-premise gateway that we use for custom connectors to access your on-premise SQL databases or services, and it's also the same gateway used by Power BI and the rest of the Power Platform. To use the UI flow to run a flow with a UI flow on it, if you install a gateway on another server, you can basically go pick it out here. So in this case, I already have a gateway running on this laptop, so I don't need to create a new UI flow. So I'm gonna use my existing connection, and I selected my UI flow already. In this case, I want to use the fields from the SharePoint list. So let's go ahead and use those fields. When I use the account name, I want to use the title field from my SharePoint list. When I use the contact, I'm going to use the primary contact field from the SharePoint list. And when I use the contact email, same thing. Let's go ahead and find it. Contact, it's primary contact. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and save it. Okay. So now, when an item is created on that list, the UI flow will be executed. Let's go ahead and test it out, and this will run for real. So let's go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add an item to our SharePoint list. Let's go ahead and create a new company name. Let's just call it Ignite Company. And let's just say the contact is me. So I'm saying Keith at ignitecompany.com. And actually, I'm going to cancel that because I'm missing a column. I'm going to add let's see, I called it email, I think. Let's see, what did I call it? Yeah, I called it, oops, that's why I didn't have the email. I didn't have the fields. Let's go ahead and add a column to my SharePoint list. I'm going to add email. I'm going to save it. Okay. So now there's a column called email. Let's go back here and make sure let's see if I can wire this up now. Okay, apologize. Let me go ahead and create the SharePoint list again. New item is created. I'm going to run the UI. I'm going to create the UI flow again. I'm going to run a UI flow for desktop, and I'm going to basically select create account. And now let's just do that real quick. Account name. Apologize for the delay. Oh, it looks like didn't like it. Let's see. I might need to rerun my SharePoint list. Let me actually pick a different SharePoint list. Hold on. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Title. Thank you. There we go. Thank you. Help from the audience. Okay, I've got the title. And let's go to primary contact. Okay. There we go. And let's just do email. Oh yeah, I don't have the email set up, but I'll just use primary contact again, just for kicks. It doesn't matter. Okay, let's go ahead and save it. Okay, now I'm going to run it. And let's go ahead and I can click test. Okay, I'll perform the trigger action. Actually, I don't want to test it here. I'm going to actually create it. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new element to the list. I'm going to say this is company Ignite. I'm going to say the contact is Keith at ignitecompany.com. And the email, I didn't really use that field. It doesn't matter, but I'll just put, I'll use that here, and I'll put my name here. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. Now it's saved. So my flow will trigger based on that. So it should pop up any second now through the gateway as an item was created to that. So let's see if that happens. Okay, it hasn't come up yet. Oh, maybe I didn't save my flow. Let's save it. That's probably okay. I'm going to save it first. Okay, now it's saved. Okay. Let's go ahead and do it again, just in case. Company Ignite 2. Okay. Oh wait. Okay, it triggered. Okay, it already triggered on my previous turn. So okay, there we go. Now notice it's going much faster. because I set the time to 0. So there we go. So it already created. So that ran my legacy application without me having to do anything. So basically, it doesn't have to be a Sharepoint list. You can use any other trigger. The other thing I wanted to show real quick was if I go to a legacy application, I want to get data out of a legacy application. So let's say I'm running my Contoso app again. And let's say, hey, I want to get the list of accounts. So what I can do is I can actually let's create a new UI flow, and let's go back to desktop, say next, okay. And this will be create account list from, let's just call it create account list ignite. Okay, I say next. In this case, I'm going to try to get the data out of this into Excel. So I'm going to go ahead and make an input variable called file name. And the file name, I'm going to call this is account list 01. And let's just say enter file name. Okay, now I'm going to click next. And let's go ahead and launch the recorder again. So in this case, the Contoso app's running already. I'm going to go ahead and click record again. I'm going to click on the title bar. I'm just going to click out here somewhere, and I'm going to hit Control A to select everything. I'm going to hit Control C. Now I'm going to go ahead and run Excel. I'm still recording. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the title bar of Excel to activate it. And you can see Excel now has the red outline. I'm going to go to a blank workbook, and I'm going to click here on this first cell, and I'm just going to do Control V. And notice it pasted all the data in here. Okay, now I'm going to click on it again, hit Control A, and I want to make it a formatted table. I'm just going to say table, and I'm going to say OK. And let's go ahead and make it green for kicks. Now I'm going to click on the first column and just type in account ID. This is account name. This is contact, and this is email. Okay. Now I want to go ahead and save. So I'm going to go File. I'm going to say Save As. I'm going to go ahead and browse, and I'm going to pick the desktop. And I'm going to click here, Control A, let's clear the field, and I want to use my file name input. So I'm going to click here, use the file name here. It's going to be account list 01, and I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, and now let's go ahead and close Excel after that. And let's go ahead and close the application. And now let's say we're done recording. Okay, now that I've done this, let's look at all the steps. You can see it captured multiple apps now. We have all the steps from Contoso invoicing. You can see it got the Control A and Control C. It's capturing keyboard. It's capturing mouse. When I run Excel, you can see similar things. It basically captures all the clicks on Excel. And it's going to close. So let's go ahead and click Next. And let's go ahead and test it out. And let's do a different file name. Let's do account list 02. Okay, now I'm going to say go ahead and test. Okay. So now it should play back my steps. You see the Contoso app has appeared on the taskbar. It should come to the front in a second. There we go. Okay, it registered the click on the row. Yeah, and my hands are off the computer. It launched Excel. It's creating a blank workbook. There we go, it pasted the data in, selected the items. Oh, got a failure. Let's see what it did. Okay. You can see which step failed. You can see your left click 9 failed. So this is interesting. So creating UI flows is sometimes you've got to be precise sometimes on what you click on, stuff like that. In this case, it didn't like, I don't think it liked, it couldn't find the element when I put the input in. Okay. I can potentially delete that and do it again. Or I can try to delete step. Let's just go ahead and look at my flow and see if I can delete step 9. Let's see. Left click 9. It looks like it didn't like clicking on that table. So here there was, let's see, I clicked on Control A there. Let's see, this one here looks like I clicked on, I'm going to go ahead and delete this step. I don't think I need that click. we can go ahead and delete, let's see. Yeah, in this case, yeah, it may be easier just to re-record. I can do it real quick in 1 minute. Let's just do it again. Okay, I apologize. Okay. I'll do it real quick. Actually, I think I have one already run. I have one already pre-recorded. Let's just go ahead and run that, and I'll prove it works. Okay. So let's go ahead and test this one. Let's call it a different file name. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. But the good news is, like, once you get your UI flow working, you can then go ahead and deploy it by running the on-premise gateway and the agent on a server. So in this case, this will prove it works. Okay, and I've got about 1 or 2 minutes left, and I'll show you one more thing after this. Now you can see it's formatting the table. One thing is, like, if you're playing back on your local machine, you don't want to be touching the mouse or keyboard while it's running. But like I said, with a gateway, you can run it on a different machine. For demo purposes, I'm running on this machine. And it'll go ahead and save it. There we go. So it ran, and basically I ran the legacy application, got data out of it, put it in Excel, and saved it. And with that, you can basically hook it up to other steps in your Power Automate and other data sources. So this shows that you can basically do APIs and desktop with Power Automate. I think I have 1 more minute. Here you can see that it ran successfully, and you can look at all your steps. I wanted to show a real quick test showing that we also support web now as well. And by the way, the desktop and web are, like we said, they're both preview mode. I'm going to go ahead and create a UI flow. Let's create a new flow real quick. I'm going to create instant from blank, and I'm just going to call it currency exchange with Bing, okay? And I'm going to manually trigger it. I'm going to create it, okay. Now I want to create a UI flow for web. So I'm going to say UI flow, and this will just take 1 more minute. So I can say run a UI flow for web. Okay, in this case, I want to run it in Microsoft Edge with the Chromium extensions, and I can say I'm going to create a new UI flow. And this one's going to be currency exchange, Bing, Ignite. And let's go ahead and start at bing.com. So when you record a web UI flow, notice it launches the Selenium Ide. So the Selenium, if you're familiar with Selenium and UI automation with Selenium, you can basically pretty much step right in and use this. I'm going to go ahead and click record. In this case, I want to record US dollars to euros. And then I'm going to search. Okay, and there's the result. I'm going to go back to the Selenium Ide. I want to now store an attribute. And I'm going to go pick a target. So I'm going to click here. And let's go ahead and, oops. I'm going to click here, and then I need to add a new command. I'm going to say store attribute, and the target will be select the target in the page. Okay. I apologize. Hold on. Select the target and the page. Okay, there we go. So I'm storing the attribute. The attribute is actually and I'm going to call this the exchange rate. And I can go back to where I entered the data, and I can delete probably a lot of these items because I was clicking too much, but I can basically add variables here. So let's go ahead and call this source currency. And then we can have destination currency. Okay, I misspelled that. Okay, and I can go ahead and save this. Stop recording and save it. Okay, oops. So I think I put in too many commands, but anyway, I wanted to show you that, yeah, you can basically, you can record UI flows with this Selenium Ide, and I apologize, I did too many steps there. Let me go ahead and do it again. So I can create a new UI flow for web, and I can say, yeah, I can basically say currency exchange, bing.com. Oh, it looks like my time is up. Launch the recorder, and here, so I can click here, and now I can say store value. Okay, now I can select the target. There we go. And let's see. Okay, and the value is going to be exchange rate. And now I want to change the search where I did it. Let's see. Yeah, instead of doing this, I can do source currency, and I can do to destination currency. Okay, now let's stop. Save it. Okay, and now I want to use Edge Chromium. Now I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to go from euro to US dollars. I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now once this again saves in the cloud, now I'm going to hit test, and it'll play it back with the value we have. Now think with Power Automate, you can have inputs and outputs. So now I've essentially created a connector with a UI flow that basically will take input and output from another process and run the steps I repeated. So let's go ahead and say continue, run flow. Okay. Say done. Okay, now it's running. It's launching Microsoft Edge, Chromium. And it's going to use the new inputs I have. Yep, euro to US dollars. And you can see it's a different value now. And when this comes back, it'll basically, when the text stops running, you'll basically be able to get the output. So then you can take this output and use it in another process. So as soon as this is done, anyway, my time is up. I wanted to say, what we've shown today is Power Automate is the platform that lets you, low-code, no-code platform lets you connect to existing APIs and services. Desktop, now we support desktop applications and web applications. There we go. So there's the output. It has 1.11, so it got the output. And so anyway, that's it today. And one thing I wanted to say was, yeah, don't forget to come to our booth out in, which is right over there in the Power Automate booth. And there's also a bunch of places where you can learn about Power Automate and see videos, just like the ones videos just like the demos I've shown today. And right here, so you can see the Power Automate community. There's links to the Power Automate blog, and there's a YouTube channel. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. All right.